This video will walk you through the information covered in the second strategic area of the EDGE assessment, engaging the community and decision makers. The EDGE program guides libraries of all sizes to set measurable strategic goals for digital inclusion. Our platform and assessment have seen the pivotal role that libraries play in digital access. And as libraries transition more and more resources and offerings online, digital access has never been more important. To get started or continue working on your EDGE assessment, log into EDGE at platform.libraryedge.org and select Assess on the left-hand menu. From there, you can begin or continue your assessment by clicking on the Assessment section and selecting your response from the multiple choice menu. As you select your responses, you can refer to the answer key at any time by clicking on the question mark icon to expand the question response choice descriptions to help inform your response selection. If you are not sure of a question response and would like to ask a colleague, you can easily send a message to an EDGE team member from your library with your note attached to the specific question or section of the assessment. You can do this by selecting the Note icon. This way, you can keep your assessment progress moving and collaborate with individuals and departments across your library. The EDGE framework is based around 3 strategic areas, and each of these focuses on a set of benchmarks developed to measure success in that area. Community value assesses the resources and services your library offers patrons to help them use technology to reach their goals. Engaging the community and decision makers measures your library's engagement with the community, partners, and funders in an effort to meet community priorities. And organizational management evaluates areas more traditionally associated with technology management, such as technology policies, devices, and staff technology competencies. To view or print all of the sections and questions in the EDGE assessment, you can access the EDGE assessment workbook in the Prepare section of the EDGE platform. This workbook provides a comprehensive guide to the EDGE assessment, including a detailed answer key. The structure of the EDGE assessment includes 3 strategic areas containing benchmarks. EDGE benchmarks are goal statements. The EDGE assessment includes 10 benchmarks, which represent aspirational resource and service standards to promote excellence in libraries' efforts towards digital inclusion. These 10 benchmarks are made up of 19 total indicators to show what benchmarks look like in action, or general ways that benchmarks can be achieved. These indicators group topical questions together into smaller groups, and the 19 indicators hold the 168 questions of the assessment. To show how this all fits together, here is how a question fits into the overall assessment. Benchmark 6 is in the second strategic area, engaging the community and decision makers. This covers understanding community needs and outcomes. There are 2 indicators in Benchmark 6, 6.1, Community Needs and Outcomes, and 6.2, Assessment. And one of the questions available in the 6.2 indicator asks about programs in place to determine the results of library programs and services. You'll notice the graphic to the right of the question shows 3 difficulty levels. These represent the time and resources likely needed to make change in this area. Difficulty levels are represented by yellow circles. Level 1, one-circle questions, are considered foundational for all library types. These resources, activities, or programs are generally simple and low cost to implement. Level 2, two-circle questions, are generally applicable in most library communities, though a community needs assessment may reveal that some of these resources and services may not create as much value to the community as others. And Level 3, three-circle questions, are generally more costly or difficult to implement, but are at the forefront of innovative activities, resources, and services that will help put your library at the center of digital inclusion in your community. Engaging the community and decision makers covers benchmarks 6 through 8 of the EDGE assessment, understanding community needs and outcomes, leadership, and relationships with community leaders. These benchmarks look at your library's outreach efforts within the local community with a specific eye to digital inclusion. The first benchmark in this strategic area is Benchmark 6, Understanding Community Needs and Outcomes. This benchmark has two indicators, community and user engagement, and assessment. Steger's South Chicago Heights Library provides a wonderful example. They took the EDGE assessment and used it to address and improve upon their digital skill offerings. The library used their EDGE results as the first step in a community needs survey for digital inclusion. Once they collected and analyzed the survey information, they used it to build low or no-cost programs around these goals. These included free test proctoring services, classes geared towards parents on how to find scholarships for their children, and one-on-one computer appointments for seniors. They deliberately increased their advocacy efforts by contacting local media sources, an EDGE benchmark, which resulted in major news coverage in the Chicago Sun-Times, the Chicago Tribune, and other local papers. Indicator 6.1 asks 8 questions about community and user engagement. A majority of the questions are level 3 difficulty level, and that can be seen in the low average points. On average, libraries only receive 21 out of 64 possible points. We found that the question that had the most yes responses from libraries was that their library updates digital services, programs, tools, and resources based on user feedback and requests. And the question that had the most no responses was that the library conducts a community needs assessment for technology resources in languages other than English. Possible resources in your library to identify these answers could be the number of community events that the library has been present at and their role. This could include a conversation with key community partners that use the library space or key program partners. Also helpful is if your library has any archives of assessment tools, meaning past surveys, notes from a suggestion box, or other methods of hearing from library users. Knowing how the library has used this information or where they keep that information can prove helpful. And for this indicator, the EDGE glossary defines different methods of collecting community feedback, including needs assessment, community forum, survey, and focus group. Indicator 6.2 asks 15 questions about community and user engagement. A majority of the questions are level 2 difficulty, and on average, libraries only receive 26 out of 95 possible points. We found that the question that has the most yes responses from libraries was if their library has a program in place to determine the results of programs and services it provides its users and community. And the question with the most no responses was that the library uses partnerships with local universities to determine the results of library programs or resources. Possible resources in your library to find this information could be, again, any archives of assessment results, meaning past surveys, notes from suggestion boxes, or methods of hearing from users. And continued conversation with key community partners and staff or volunteers about the library's assessment activities that they've participated in. This could allow for a conversation around opening up for future partnerships. The second benchmark in the Engaging the Community strategic area is Benchmark 7, Leadership. This benchmark only has one indicator, Library Thought Leadership, with 4 questions. A majority of the questions are level 2 difficulty, meaning that they may be key to your library but do require some investment of time or funding. And on average, libraries receive 17 out of 28 possible points. To further illustrate what we mean by leadership, the Robert J. Clayburgh Public Library took the EDGE assessment and used it to build their leadership role in the local community and within the state of Texas. They were able to use their EDGE results as part of a grant that they received from the state library. The grant allowed them to build a local makerspace. Then, following community feedback, they designed pop-up makerspace activities at community events, leading to a mobile makerspace to travel the community and increase the library's visibility. In each of these activities, from participating in the State Library Grant Program and engaging in their local community with partners and local government, they are exercising leadership. We found that the questions that had the most yes responses from libraries was if library leaders and staff participate in initiatives that seek to improve digital programs the library offers, or the digital capabilities of the libraries themselves. And the question with the most no responses was that library leaders and staff make at least one presentation annually at professional gatherings, typically on improving digital skills, new technology use, and understanding of personal data and information literacy. As you begin to identify answers to these questions, possible resources could include reviewing the library budget. If money is put aside for staff professional development in the form of attending conferences or participating in state library or library consortia initiatives, then this may indicate a yes response to several questions. Additionally, a conversation with staff or library volunteers about their activities may also bring to light other ways the library participates in some of these activities. The third and final benchmark in the Engaging the Community strategic area is Benchmark 8, Relationships with Community Leaders. This benchmark only has one indicator, outreach to community leaders and partners, with 14 questions. These questions are fairly evenly spread out across the 3 difficulty levels, and on average, libraries receive 52 out of 80 possible points. The Gilmer Memorial Library provides an example in their relationships. They completed the EDGE assessment and used it to address and improve upon their partnerships with community organization offerings. The library was able to present their EDGE data to county commissioners regarding the need for adequate printing and copying services, and the county almost doubled their contribution to the library, resulting in building a stronger relationship with their local government leaders. They also used their EDGE results to receive a grant from the Tucker Foundation to expand their audiobook collection and technology investments. We found that the question that had the most yes responses was that at least one library representative sits on the board of a key community-based organization. And the question with the most no responses was that the library maintains a list of community organizations that offer digital services as a resource for easy referrals. As you begin to identify answers to these questions, possible resources could include a discussion with staff, volunteers, or partners on the outreach the library conducts with community leaders and reviewing communication archives such as newsletters or e-blasts that may highlight partnerships or outreach. That concludes the 3 benchmarks that make up the Engaging the Community and Decision Makers strategic area of the EDGE assessment. Thank you for taking the time to learn about EDGE today. You can create your EDGE account or log in to get started. Please contact platform support at libraryedge.org with any questions.